Helldivers 2 is currently the most talked about game, but Epic Games and Fortnite are currently setting up for a seismic shift in gaming, potentially leading to a billion-dollar market loss for one of the biggest companies in the world. As many of you know, most storefronts for video games set up fees in order to capture profit. Stores such as Steam, the Epic Games Store, and the Apple App Store. Steam and the Epic Games Store are locked into a battle for supremacy over PC users. Their staunch competition forces them to make changes and concessions to their fee policies to incentivize developers to put their games on their platform. But there seems to be an outlier in the three storefronts that I mentioned earlier, and if you are an iPhone user, you probably know what I'm talking about. On Apple's App Store, there is pretty much no competition. They have chalked this up to app review and keeping the content and security on the iPhone safe. But essentially, if you want to launch a game on the iPhone, you need to launch it through the App Store. If it was just a security layer, that would be fine, but Apple charges a hefty developer fee, 30% commissions on in-app payments to be exact. Why would that be such a point of contention? When you look at it, Valve charges pretty much the same rates on their in-app purchases through Steam. Well, let's just say Apple wants to make it nearly impossible for developers to circumvent this fee. Usually, the ways around fees such as these have to do with creating a game portal that players go to and having players purchase items from there. For players, the simplest approach is to directly purchase items from the storefront where they initially bought the game. But since Apple caught wind of what developers were doing, they implemented a no-steering rule where developers would get kicked out of the App Store if they decided to steer people to pay for items on their website instead of Apple's App Store. So what did Epic decide to do? Steer people away on purpose. Now this all happened in 2020, and since then, Epic has been locked into a legal battle between both Apple and Google over the storefronts that they have on their phones. Epic lost the Apple case in 2021 but won against Google at the end of last year. So what is the drastic change did their case make? Were the 3 years of legal battles worth it? First, let's delve into what Apple makes on in-app purchases. Based on this NBC article in 2022, it is estimated that Apple facilitated $283 billion, yes billion, dollars worth of transactions in their in-app store. Using the 30% fee that they make developers pay, they earned nearly $85 billion in 2022. $85 billion not on products that they made, but off the backs of developers of apps in all categories, not only gaming. The Epic Games lawsuit against Apple, while fruitless in the US, set a spotlight on the way that big tech companies operate. That spotlight shined its way all the way across the pond to Europe, where in 2020 they passed the DMA, better known as the Digital Markets Act. The DMA tries to promote fair competition and curb anti-competitive practices among major online platforms. It seeks to ensure these platforms operate in a manner that fosters innovation, choice, and respect for user rights within the digital market. The key word here is choice. And that brings us to today, where on March 6, 2024, Apple terminated Epic Games' third-party app store on their iPhone. In scenarios such as these, the legal process would take years, and the battle would cost both companies millions of dollars. But because Epic shined the light on this issue years ago and the DMA was passed in the EU, Apple was instantly on the defensive. Articles and online backlash were coming at Apple right away, and only 2 days later, on March 8th, they reinstated Epic to develop their store on the iOS. Now, while this new storefront will not affect Apple in the coming days or even months, it sets the door open for a future where they don't make money on in-app purchases. The DMA also allows for developers to steer users to their websites to buy items. Apple may lose out on billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars a year, which will definitely hurt their wallets. But don't get too excited yet. Epic still can't launch this in the US. It may be a couple of years until Fortnite gets back to the US on mobile. The real question here is, how much money will Epic be able to capitalize on? Will they start bringing in billions of more dollars a year? What do you think about this? Should Apple be able to force users to buy through them? Are you excited to play Fortnite on iPhones in Europe? Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.